What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to How Do I Want to Do This? This is our series where we take a look at all playable options available to players in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, then we rank them on a scale of 1 to 10 and either build them or fix them depending on how they rank. Now today is our final video talking about the Barbarian, and I'm excited. It's interesting having such short periods of time talking about classes after coming off of 2014 where everything had a million subclasses, but yeah, it's kind of refreshing to be able to mix things up relatively quickly. So yeah, we're talking about the Zealot today, going to be building one of those, and we move on to Bard next week. Before we jump into today's build though, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, share the video with your friends, and of course click the bell so you're notified when new videos are uploaded. The Zealot Barbarian is super interesting. It is kind of the new all-arounder. Definitely a nerf over what we saw back in 2014, and I'll show you the 2014 version up in the icon above right there. And then of course we ranked this earlier this week when we talked about the 2024 version, which I will try to throw up right there right after it. So two iCards back to back. So yeah, it's interesting. It's a little bit different. It's not quite as good as far as how much survivability it has, but still not bad. We get to heal instead of being, you know, just held alive indefinitely, but still not too shabby, and it's going to be fun to build around. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Starting off, as always, we have our race slash species slash whatever you're calling it nowadays with the new rules, and we're going to go with pretty much an obvious one, but it makes so much sense with the Zealot, both in theming and also just mechanically speaking, and it's the Aasimar, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, this thing is just objectively the best barbarian race that's out there. It's fantastic. It's really good. It gives you so many amazing features. You even get some of the old sub race stuff, and so you could do like the old Scourge thing where you do a bunch of damage around you. You can fly, which you don't necessarily need to do on this build because you get flight anyway later on, or you get the fear effect, which honestly is the one that I prefer most of the time. But yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. You get all kinds of amazing things. You get healing here, you also get healing with your subclass, both of which are not considered spells, which is amazing for a barbarian. All around, cannot go wrong there. For our stats, of course, we're going to be doing the standard point buy system here. Of course, if your table does something different, by all means, you may have to adjust a little bit, but we're going to take a 15 in our strength and constitution. We'll take a 14 in dexterity, and we're basically dumping the rest. We'll take a 10 in wisdom, I suppose. And then for our background, we're going to actually be taking the farmer. Once again, we took farmer last week, and yeah, it's just one of the best ones. This and soldier are by far the best for a barbarian, so this is what we are going to grab, and this gives us the tough feat, which is fantastic. Tough feat definitely is better than what we get with the soldier, which is definitely nice. So I'm okay with it. We also get slightly better skills with animal handling and nature. I like these better than what we get on the other ones, so that's good. And we also get carpenter's tools here. That's inconsequential for me. For our equipment, I'm going to grab both a halberd and some medium armor. A halberd is nice. Technically, I could see this being switched out for anything that has the cleave mastery. I'm honestly okay with any of those. The cleave mastery is nice because it gets to spread around that little bit of extra damage that we get. Our extra damage is not incredible, especially compared to something like the Berserker now, and of course I'll put that up in the icon above. The Berserker, as we scale up, definitely passes this by a decent margin. We start out about the same, but then it scales up a lot better than this does. And so having that cleave allows us to deal a little bit of extra damage. It also allows us to have some better interactions with a feat that we're going to take later, that kind of thing. It's good. As far as medium armor goes, again, we're probably going to be better off wearing armor for a while until we can get our constitution up really high to make sure that an armor defense is doing well. But so for now, I think taking some armor is going to be our best option. So let's start taking some levels. At level 1, we are going to be a barbarian, and we're actually going to go 20 levels of barbarian this time around. I have looked at doing some multi-classing. I don't think it gives us nearly as much benefit in this case, just because of how good our level 14 feature is. So yeah, I think I don't want to delay that, and I'd rather just go for it and go straight barbarian. So that's what we're going to do. Level 1, of course, barbarian 1, we get rage. unarmored defense and weapon mastery. Rage is our quintessential thing that we get, and we get to get real angry. We get to resist some bludgeoning, piercing, slashing damage. Our strength checks and everything get a lot better. Absolutely fantastic feature. Unarmored defense, we're not going to be using it right now, but we might later as our constitution improves. And then we get our weapon mastery feature here, of course. And for right now, we're going to be choosing that halberd, or if you took a different weapon, then of course use that, and we can absolutely make that work. If you have any questions about how just the general Barbarian works in 2024, how it's different from 2014, all that good stuff, I already made a video on that, and that will be up in the icon above for you to check out as well right there. Barbarian 2, we get Danger Sense and Reckless Attack. Danger Sense, of course, allows us to have much better time with our dexterity saving throws. Absolutely fantastic. And Reckless Attack, we're going to be using almost all the time to gain advantage on our attack rolls. It does come with the downside of us being hit with advantage, but it's usually more than worth it, so I'm okay with it. At Barbarian 3, we get our subclass, and here we get Divine Fury and Warrior of the Gods. Divine Fury, of course, is what gives us that little bit of extra damage. It's not incredible, okay? It's not as good as the Berserker as we scale. Right now, it's about even, but it's not going to be able to catch up nearly as well. And then you've got Warrior of the Gods, which gives us a healing feature now, instead of allowing us to be raised from the dead with no material components. There are certain situations where one is going to be better than the other. You hope that you don't have to be brought back from the dead, but man, it's nice if you do. Whereas this, maybe you can heal yourself enough to where you don't become dead, right? As a Barbarian, our hit points might as well be doubled most of the time, seeing how bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage generally account for like 80 to 90% of the damage that is dealt by monsters. So you're going to be catching resistance for a lot of it. So essentially count every hit point that you heal as 2, which is really, really valuable, especially with a D12 hit die and D12 being the modifier here as we heal. For Primal Knowledge, we also get a couple of other proficiencies on some skills. Definitely not too bad there. At Barbarian 4, we get our first feat after the origin, and I'm going to take Slasher. Slasher just makes too much sense here. Again, we've got a slashing weapon. It's got cleave. It's got reach. Why would we not want to start slowing people down? Why would we not want to make our crits that much more devastating? Especially with something like Reckless Attack online, it just makes too much sense. It also is going to give us that even numbered strength score, which is going to be really, really nice. So I'm all about that. At Barbarian 5, we get extra attack, absolutely fantastic there, and we also get fast movement, also a very welcome thing. Before we get to level 6, I want to take a second to shout out my channel members. Thank you all so much for your support through all of this. Of course, YouTube is having a rough time with all of the not only ad revenue, but also just views in general on Dungeons and Dragons things. So I want to thank all of you for helping to support the channel. And of course, all of you who do that get access to my full library of subclass guides, of subclass fixes that I did for 2014. I've got some homebrew content on there for 2024. There's all kinds of stuff on there for you to check out. So make sure to look at that down below. Lowest tier gets access to all of that. So if you want to support more, that's great. Lowest tier gets you everything that most people would ever want. So yeah, it's there. Make sure to check that out. And thank you for those of you who are already doing it. At Barbarian 6, we get Fanatical Focus, also really good, and definitely is a buff over what it was before, being able to kill off the Charmed and Frightened effects. I had the clip come up this past week actually of Fanatical Focus coming off on Dimension 20 when Zach, I believe, was playing a Barbarian and tricked Brennan into having him rage and then ending the effect. Stuff like that can happen, and it is super funny when it happens. It's devastating, and those are listen, Barbarians are targeted by that kind of stuff a lot because they fail to save a lot of the time. And then they deal a lot of damage to their own party members if it is something severe. So yeah, this is a great feature to have, and it's very helpful. It will come up. Then Barbarian 7, we get Feral Instinct and Instinctive Pounce. Of course, this is going to help us to be able to get where we need to get a lot quicker and a lot more easily. So I'm good with that. Definitely very helpful. At Barbarian 8, I think the best thing that I can do right now is just to bump my strength and just get that to 20. Now, you could make an argument to bump Constitution here because, of course, it would help with hit points. It would help with AC, possibly. There's a few different things that you could argue for that. But to me, I think it's best that we just go ahead and get that to 20, and just that way we're hitting the most reliably we can. We're dealing the most damage that we can, and it just makes the most sense for right now. Barbarian 9, Brutal Strike, a feature that was definitely buffed going into these rules after leaving behind Brutal Critical. Brutal Critical, great when it worked, but it hardly ever did, and this is just way better. At Barbarian 10, we get Zealous Presence, one of the more lackluster features in my opinion. It definitely not all that it's cracked up to be, but it's okay, I guess. It's okay. Barbarian 11 gives us Relentless Rage, which is fantastic. Honestly, Relentless Rage feels like something that would be just tied to the Zealot Barbarian, but it's actually for everybody, being able to allow us to stay up, which is really good. So we hit 0 hit points and we can make a saving throw and then just pop back up, which is honestly fantastic. Barbarian 12, we get another ASI or feat, and so now with strength maxed out, we're going to Constitution, and I'm going to give a +2 there for an 18. That feels really good as we are boosting up that hit point number. And of course, we are getting closer to being able to get rid of that medium armor too, so we're not having to worry about being not as sneaky as we would like to be. So I like that a lot there. We get improved Brutal Strike at Barbarian 13. Absolutely fantastic, giving us more options that we can add on. These are essentially free weapon masteries, kind of, that you can add on. They vary in what they do and how effective they are, but they're cool. They're really cool. You get to choose one of them. Now you have like 6 options, so very interesting there. And then at Barbarian 14, Rage of the Gods. And so this is very different from what we had last time. Of course, used to in 2014, it was you keep going, you make death saves, but you don't actually do anything until after your rage runs out. With this, it's very different. You basically get this like angelic form, which to me is why the Awesome fits so much better, because you actually get to fly, and then you get some great stuff. So to me, that's cool. You also get to basically kind of share the Relentless Rage, sort of, just being able to keep people up, which is really cool, including yourself, because you are a creature within 30 feet of yourself. So that's also really cool. Yeah, I love that. It's really good now, but yeah, and definitely less situational than before. So I'll take that. Barbarian 15, we get Persistent Rage, and of course this now gives us our rage back, gives us some of our rage back, which is really good. And of course we get to have our rage last longer, which is great. So a lot of just nice improvements to rage, and yeah, very good stuff there. Barbarian 16, we get another +2 to Constitution. I don't think there's anything better that we can do right now. Of course you could take another feat, and we'll talk about some more feats in the honorable mentions here in just a second, but for me, I feel like just having the best Constitution possible is the absolute way to go. That's what we are going to do. Barbarian 17, we're going to get our final round of improved Brutal Strike, so now we can do 2 of them instead of just the 1, so I'm all for that as well. Definitely some really cool options in there, and being able to double those up, I love that. Barbarian 18, Indomitable Might. Yeah, good luck failing a strength check or strength saving throw. It's pretty much not going to happen, so that's interesting. Level 18 feels a little late, but it's all good. Barbarian 19, we get an Epic Boon. Something not new to 2024, but it is new to most people anyway, because a lot of people never would have seen these, seeing how this was kind of the beyond level 20 thing prior in 2014 rules, but now they're just a core part. So level 19, we get an option here. To me, I would either grab Combat Prowess or Irresistible Offense. Either of those make a lot of sense to me. The only thing is, of course, with Primal Champion coming up at level 20, Primal Champion gives us +4 to our strength and constitution, and that is up to a max of 25, of course, making room for that epic boon to give us a +1 there. But the thing is, having 25 is no better than having a 24. So we need to try to find, a book we can read that will raise our strength over 20 or something of that nature. Otherwise, the epic boon at least the ASI part of the Epic Boon is not going to be all that helpful. I mean, you're level 19. It's very likely you found something like that at this point, but still, I wanted to mention that that is a possibility of something that that you may run into if you haven't found something like that. So that's the build for today. Let me know what you think down below. Not a whole lot of craziness to this build, honestly, but I don't think you really need it with a Zealot. I think the Zealot gives you a lot of tools. It's a generalist. It's not a specialist like what the other ones are. And so I don't think you need to make it all that complicated for it to work. It's really there to just kind of take on whatever you need it to do, and it'll do just fine. So that is what we are going to do with that. So for some other honorable mentions, so some other races slash species options that you can look at. So we've got the Goliath as the first one. The Goliath by far is the number 2 option for Barbarians. I don't think anything else is even close, honestly. I think it's Aasimar, and then I think it's Goliath right under it, and then it falls off pretty hard, honestly, for what is best there. It's tough. It's tough because they buffed these up pretty well, and then everything else got some buffs, but not in a place that really helps Barbarians nearly as much. And so, yeah, even the other 2 are not nearly as good, in my opinion, but definitely could situationally work. The Dwarf, of course, is one of them. I like the Dwarf as a Barbarian. It gives you a lot of really nice things, especially now that it's no longer a 25-foot move speed. Definitely great there. And the Gnome helping us to be protected a lot better from those nasty mental saves that I was talking about earlier. Again, Barbarians are normally the targets of those things, and this allows us to resist those a little bit easier. So very good there. Then for feats, okay, it's the big 3, right? Big 3 that I didn't mention: Grey Weapon Master, Sentinel, Polearm Master. Now, all of these have gotten nerfed in 2024. That is the thing. However, they are very much still usable, but you have to think about this a little bit differently. Grey Weapon Master is not the insane -5 +10 damage thing that it used to be. It does help with consistent damage, though, and so it's not bad. It is not something that I would say needs to be thrown in the trash. It's still decent, right? But it is not the insane thing that it used to be. Sentinel, again, it got restricted in its use a little bit, but it's still pretty decent, and so I would at least consider that. And Polearm Master, again, restricted a little bit, especially with how it interacts with Sentinel. That's what really gets it, is the interaction between Sentinel and Polearm Master is much worse now, where most people would have loved this prior, but still, Polearm Master is still not bad, and so I would at least consider it on something like this. Finally, for other class options, the Rogue makes a lot of sense here. Now, I would probably be taking a lot of levels of Rogue because just 2 levels is, you know, you get Cunning Action, but you only get 1 thing of Sneak Attack, so it's like, and so I don't know. I think that I would want to take a lot of Rogue here for it to really be worth my time. So for that reason, you know, it's okay, I guess. For Ranger, Gloomstalker, duh. It's a Gloomstalker Ranger. What do you want? It gives you a lot of amazing features at level 3, and you really don't need to go any further, even for a melee. The only thing is, of course, the stats are rough because you have to get both strength, then you have to get. The only thing that's tough, of course, is the stats. You got strength, dex, and wisdom that you have to worry about, and that can be a little tough for sure. And finally, the fighter. If you can do Rune Knight, I would do Rune Knight, but otherwise, Battlemaster or Champion are going to be the top picks for that, for what I think are pretty obvious reasons. So that is all for today's video. Next week, we are going to be putting out 2 videos. Normally, I would only do 1 on a week where I'm introducing a new class. So we're going to be introducing the Bard. However, I also am planning to post my full video of the talk that I gave a couple weeks ago at ETSUCon, going over what I call draconic etiquette and how to basically keep groups together, which I think is a huge issue in the TTRPG space. The talk I gave is not anything specific to Dungeons & Dragons. It'll work for Pathfinder, it'll work for anything else, and so I want you to check that out. It's really cool. I had a great time with it. I loved being able to kind of write this out and do the research on it, and it's good. It's really good. But I'm working on getting that edited and put out this week, so I hope you all will look forward to that. And of course, we have KPL Week 2 coming out this week. Week 1 came out a couple days ago, and of course, this season we have drafted only Pokemon that Markiplier would smash. So yeah, we're having a lot of fun over there. It's good. So make sure to check that out as well. Until next time, stay safe out there, stay healthy. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.